I was thinking about this episode of Supernatural when I thought about the ME phenomenon. And the moment I was recording this, some spirit activity happened behind me. But, kind of ironic. But I just thought about it, and I was wondering, given the fact that so many people are focusing their consciousness on something at the same time, and due to the internet, multiple web servers having all of this ME information out there, and since I, for one, have actually witnessed the fact that when you're either stressed enough or frustrated enough or something, and people focus their energy on something, not even having to be frustrated. Sometimes they say massive amounts of people can focus their collective thoughts on something positive and it can happen. But with so many people focusing on one particular ME or one particular thing, this is one route that I've got in my mind, besides shifting realities, that maybe it's like the Tulpa situation on this episode of Supernatural. This episode of Season 1, Episode 17. It's called Hell House. And they started talking about how people's thoughts could bring something into being. And people's thoughts could manifest, their consciousness could manifest something into being. So he stated, okay, so there was this incident. He said, what about these tulpas? That's what Dean asked Sam.
Yeah. Alright, so keep going. What about these tulpas? Okay.
And I sped it up for copyright, but he said, so there was this incident in Tibet in 1915.
So there was this incident in Tibet in 1915. A group of monks visualized a golem in their heads.
A group of monks visualized this golem in their head, this thing in their head. And they meditated so hard on it.
They meditate on it so hard, they bring the thing to life.
That they brought this thing to life. They meditated, a group of monks in 1915 meditated on something and focused on it so hard they brought the thing to life. The entity, they brought it to life. Because they focused on it. And that makes me wonder if with groups of people focusing on one particular change or one particular thing, if it doesn't manifest changes and manifest reality in and of itself. This goes deep, but that's what this episode of Supernatural reminded me of.
Thin air, so that was 20 monks. Imagine what 10,000.
He said that was 20 monks. Imagine what 10,000 web servers could do. And we have many more than that today.
I mean, Craig starts the story about Mordecai, then it spreads, it goes online.
Craig started the story about Mordecai, this fake entity, this spirit, and then it spreads, it goes online. Now then there's countless people all believing in that particular thing, in that particular entity. And he said, okay, wait a second, so what you're trying to tell me is that just because people believe in Mordecai, he's real? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. He said, so many people focus their collective thoughts on this thing, and it comes to life because their collective focus caused it to exist.
Guy, he's real?
He's like, I don't know, maybe. And he's like, well, how come I believe in Santa Claus every year? How come I'm not shattered with gifts? And he said, because you're a bad boy. That's what he told Dean. And but you think about it, manifesting reality.
That's a Tibetan spirit.
And apparently that sigil was a Tibetan spirit sigil that was on the wall of that particular house.
On the wall of the house. Craig said they were painting symbols from a theology textbook. I bet you
they painted a bunch of symbols from random theology textbooks, random beliefs throughout history in that house to make it seem as though the house really was haunted and real, and that it was real. And they said they painted that symbol, that sigil, without even knowing what it was, and then caused this manifestation to take place. They said that sigil has been used for centuries. That was this episode of Supernatural. So people are on that website called the Hellhounds website, and reading about it, they're all staring at that sigil, and because thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people from around this world are focusing on that symbol, staring at it, and thinking about Mordecai, that particular ancient magical symbol that brings things to life, because so many people are focusing on that particular symbol in this episode, it brings the story of Mordecai to life.
I don't know, but it might be enough to bring it all to life.
And he said, focusing on the internet, so many people focusing on that might bring the tulpa to life. That ancient Tibetan thought form. A thought form. It's not really even really an entity. It's just a thought form. Kind of like when poltergeist activity extends from a person. And in my own personal experience, poltergeist activity has extended from myself, and out of anger or frustration, individuals can get so frustrated or dark that paranormal activity can ensue around them. It can take place. I've actually witnessed that personally. And it's just the extension or manifestation of one's thought form or consciousness turns into an action, and a movement takes place. And that would explain on here, they said, why the legend keeps changing. The tulpa caused this thought form came into place as what people were creating. They created a thought form, focused on it so hard, on that ancient Tibetan symbol there, and caused that particular change to take place. And that's what made me think about the Mandela effect. They said that would explain why it keeps changing. Well, it keeps changing because so many people are focusing on it differently. And as the story changes, or as the rumor or the story changes, the thought form created changes.
Right. As the legend changes, people think different things.
They said, so as the legend changes, people think different things. So Mordecai himself changes.
So Mordecai himself changes, like a game of telephone.
Like a game of telephone.
That would also explain why the rocks don't work. Yeah, he's not a traditional spirit.
It's not a traditional spirit, per se. It's just a thought form.
Yeah, okay, so why don't we just,
And he's saying, okay, so why don't they just get the spirit sigil thingy,
get this spirit sigil thingy off the wall and off the website?
and pull it off that website? But so many people have already saw it.
Once tulpas are created,
It's once the tulpa's created, they take on a life of their own. They take on a life of their own.
on a life of their own. Great. All right, so if you release a thought form, how
They said if it's really a thought form, how the heck are we supposed to kill an idea?
are we supposed to build an idea?
And he said, well, it's not going to be easy. Those particular guys that were spreading more information and changing it, they spread the videos and caused thousands of more
The video
hits.
that number of hits are quadrupled in the last day alone.
And now that they're being viewed online, the stories and legends are changing, so thus the thought form or entity has changed. And at the end, they have to burn the house down. They just burned it down so that the legend can no longer exist. The story can no longer exist. Hopefully. At least they hope.
Kind of makes you wonder. Of all the things,
It kind of makes you wonder, of all the things we hunted, how many things existed just because people believed in them?
we hunted, how many existed just because people believed in them?
Kind of interesting thought there. So I thought it kind of related to this phenomenon. Season 1, Episode 17 of Supernatural, I believe. Peace, much love, and signing out. If you'd like to show support for what I do, my link is below. My email is there as well for this channel. I thank you for watching. Sending much love. This has been A New Thought. So from one thought form to another, from one consciousness to another, sending positive energy. Hope you have a great day. I wish for the best for not only myself and all of you, but all of us. This is just an interesting perspective and concept that I caught on Supernatural and decided to put it together because I started thinking about the ME and the changes that take place for some and not others, and how things start changing based on how many people are focusing on one particular thing. So, maybe. And just like when I listened, I focused and I changed Abercrombie to Abercrombie, Abercrombie to Abercrombie, back and forth, things like that. I would change words based on my thought, and I focused, and I was doing a live stream, and it changed on Google based on my thought. I've got videos on that I'll show you again if you haven't seen them. Hopefully they still exist. So, interesting perspective that I just decided to put forward. Peace, signing out.